All right, welcome to this lecture. This is going to be a really quick one, but before we move forward to our newsreader app, there's one more skill that we've got to learn, and that is WebViews. It basically allows you to add websites into your app, full native websites, and it's just going to make it that much easier when someone finds a news article that they like, that they can look at it in your app without having to move over into their browser. So what we're going to do is just create a new Android Studio project. We'll simply call it WebViews, and we just want default for everything here. So the idea is basically that you can create this little web view inside of your app. You tell it what website you want it to go to, or we could pass it our own custom HTML. Either way that you want to work it, this is going to allow us to display something from the web. So let's go ahead and move first to the visual side of things. We just want to drag in a web view into our app and make sure that it sort of fills up the whole screen here. So we'll go ahead and give Android Studio just a second here to get up and running. So once that finally opened up, let's go ahead and get rid of this text view. We'll just go ahead and delete that. And if we go down to our containers, there you can see there's a web view. We'll go ahead and drag this into the project. And again, looks like it's filled up most of the space. So we'll just add those constraints to make sure that's the case. And let's give it a proper ID, like not a view web, a web view. There we go. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've done that. Let's go ahead and move to our main activity and talk about how we can get this filled with the information for a website. So before we move into that, I guess let's go ahead and do this. Because the web view is going to be accessing the internet, we have to ask for that permission. So I'm going to open up your Android manifest file, and like we've done before, we want to do our uses permission, and we're looking for the internet. So we'll go ahead and put that in, and that's all we need to do with that. So we'll go ahead and X that out. Then back inside of our main activity, first let's get access to our web view. So we'll say capital web view, and we'll just name it web view here, is equal to find view by ID r.id.webview. Excellent. Once we have access to the particular web view, then we want to put a few settings on there. So the first one is about whether JavaScript is enabled or not. So JavaScript is a separate language from Java that allows you to do more interactive things on websites. Almost every website these days now uses JavaScript. So we need to say on our WebView website .get settings, and then on those settings we're going to say .set JavaScript enabled, and we want to go ahead and pass true into here because if you put false inside of here, a lot of websites are just going to flat out not work. Now there's some situations you would want to do this. It'd be more particularly if you want to have more control of what the user can and can't do, but in this case let's just have it equal to true. Next step for us is we need to say that we want this to open on our app. So I'll just show you this line of code, then talk about it. So webview.set webview client. And inside of here, we're going to pass new capital web view client. So the basic idea here is if you do not provide this information a new web view client, it'll just say, oh, I'll go find the default browser on the user's phone, whether it's Chrome, Opera, whatever it is, Firefox, it'll go launch that up. And so in this, you're saying, no, I want you to open things up here inside of this web view, and that's what that web view client is all about. Then it's simply, and let me go ahead and get the emulator up and running here so that I know that'll take a second there. Then we want to go ahead and get our web view, and we want to give it a URL that we want it to go load. So we're going to say load URL, and here we just simply pass it a string. So with this, make sure you give it the full http:// let me get p://www. and then some website. Let's go ahead and do like google.com. Okay, we'll go ahead and put that in there, and now our web view should display that website to us. So let's go ahead and run this on our emulator. Okay, we'll hit that run button, and we'll give this a moment to pop up here. Okay, so here comes the app, and look at that. All of a sudden it shows up. It's the fully functioning google.com. So for example here, you could go ahead and search for something like if I'm a big BYU fan, so I want to say like BYU score to find out if they won or not. And look, it shows the recent football games, and BYU football stinks right now, so maybe I actually don't want to see these results. But anyways, it's a fully functioning website, and it doesn't have to be Google. You could go put your homepage in there, your favorite place that you like to go visit, whatever. One more thing that I'd like to show you is you can actually load raw HTML into a web view. So for example, if we take a web view and we say .load data, so let's select not load URL, we want to do load data. You can provide a string with some HTML like you would have for a website. So for example, let's do an opening HTML tag, which then means we should have an ending HTML tag. If you don't know how to work with HTML, there's some tutorials. We don't really have to get into it for this to work. I'm just showing a quick example. You can copy my text exactly if you'd like. With this then, we've got to have a body opening tag, and which means we should have an ending body tag. Then inside of there, we could go ahead and put like a H1 tag and say something like hello world, exclamation point, and then we'll do our ending H1 tag. And maybe after this, we could add a paragraph where we say something like, this is my cool website, exclamation point, and then we'll do our ending P tag there. So you put in all that HTML, then you've got to provide a few more things. So the next thing is you got to say what type this is coming through. So for HTML, you do text/HTML. And then the last thing that you need to provide here is the encoding that you want. So we're going to use the standard UTF all caps -8. Okay, so if we've done all of this, make sure you got your semicolon. It's going to load this little HTML string that we created into the browser as a web view. And so let's go ahead and get our emulator here. Opens up and boom, look at that. Hello world, this is my cool website. So you will see this load data used, for example, some people create apps that are completely just a web view of some HTML code, and they do this so that they can make their app work on iOS and Android or Windows Phone. Whatever new thing comes out, they can all just use the web browser inside of it to kind of, so they don't have to repeat stuff. But to me, it's always a little bit cheesy because it's like, you know, you're already on here, you know how to do native code, like roll with that, go make a native app that people really enjoy. But it is an option there, so I wanted to, you know, show you what that was all about. Okay, now that you have this skill in your tool belt, you are now ready to move forward and create the news feed app. Let's go do it.